I didn't feel confident within myself whatsoever. You get this sense of worthlessness that, that you can't do something. I thought that I had a stronger mind than this, and so it wasn't for me just the physical aspect. I was like, shit, I'm not as strong as I thought mentally either. I made a promise to myself. I said, no, I'm staying in. I don't care what happens. I'm just going to stay in the gym. Because you've got to leave something behind to move forward to the next step. What are the habits that you're doing on a daily basis that are serving you, or what are the ones that are not? The greatest performance enhancer, natural performance enhancer, is to go and lift weights. If you're a man and you're not doing some form of training, get the fuck off your ass and go do some form of training.
Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the B.Human Podcast. On this episode, we had a good friend of ours, Jesse, the Viking from Garfield.
Oh, sorry, Jesse. We just told everyone where you live, bro.
Oh,
sorry, Jess.
Sorry, bro. Sorry, man. That's right. You can handle yourself. So Jesse, I actually met Jesse through one of our workshops that we ran. Mm-hmm. He was a client of yours, mentorship client. Mm-hmm. And we had him on our podcast, and he's a very cool and interesting bloke. One of the main things that I enjoyed that we touched base on was the importance of physical training for men's identity as protectors and providers, okay? And I think it's something that's extremely vital to touch on in this day and age around men, around the culture of men as well. Looking strong, being physically strong and fit and healthy. It's no different to when you look at the king of the jungle. The lion doesn't look like a frail object. He doesn't look like the deer or the gazelle. He looks like the lion. He looks like the king, something that can handle whatever's coming his way. So that's one of the things that we did touch base on. And another thing is we dived in a little bit deeper, having Jesse's background as a personal trainer for many years in the fitness industry. And we touched on PEDs, okay? So performance enhancing drugs, and how they should be used and how they're being abused at the same time. Okay, so that's something very interesting for you health guys out there too who are into this type of stuff and bodybuilding as such. So I'm sure you're going to get a lot out of this episode.
Yeah, and it was interesting to find out that Jesse did not look like the Jesse today. Basically, he worked with horses and he lived a certain lifestyle because they used to travel so much. He didn't look after his diet, he didn't exercise, and he realized that he didn't like the way he felt and how he saw himself physically as well. So it wasn't just an idea mentally. Physically, he didn't really appreciate what he was looking like. So it was great that he actually channeled that into making that change, working hard, and and what he learned was discipline, and he learned to stick to something for a very long time. And so he really is a great trainer on more aspects than just the physicality, because he is all about the mental, the mindset, how to stick to habits and create new habits. And I love that. And he's a really great role model for young boys that come into this scene of like wanting to look good and stuff. He asks them why, like what's your bigger purpose? Is it just for like Saturday night parties, or what is it like, and he really tries to get them to train and find an authentic why, not just a surface level why, because, sometimes in order to get a surface level why of how you want to look, you do damage, like you said.
Yes.
You can take things that are not, and there's nothing against performance enhancing drugs, but it's how you take it, for what reason.
It's your intentions.
Is it, is it measured? Is it being monitored? Are you getting tests done? So we talk about all that. So great episode, especially for young guys that want to sort of look into all that stuff. And check Jesse out. He's pretty cool.
He's cool.
He's cool. He's a Viking. He's cool.
Yeah. So we hope you enjoy it, guys. Any questions after these episodes as well, hit us up with a DM. Just shoot out to us, and we'll be happy to chat.
Yep.
And remember, be human.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the B.Human Podcast. I sound loud.
Yeah, it's good.
We have a special guest today, a dear friend. I've met him recently, but connected very well and deeply with him. I speak about him with Zuzu a lot, how cool Jesse is. So he's a real life Viking.
Straight from Valhalla.
He's incredible. No, I met him. I gelled with him straight away. I loved everything about him. He's doing a mentorship with me, and you know, through that process, obviously you uncover a lot and you go deeper in layers. And I really got to fast track knowing him and completely love him, completely love the way he shows up. And I wanted to have him on the show today because I wanted to talk about, you know, what it looks like to be a strong man on many levels, not just the physical, because he is a real life Viking. And so I just wanted to, you know, go deeper with that kind of aspect of a man and what it looks like to be a strong man and what it is like to be a man, a strong man internally as well.
Yeah, 100%. So I met Jesse, obviously this is the second time we've met, brother.
Sure.
Met you front row at our last Melbourne event we ran. And I noticed your T-shirt, Valhalla and powerlifting competition stuff. So I thought, okay, cool, there's something I can relate to with this guy. And yeah, man, like the best thing is, like for me, standing where I am, is seeing someone like you, especially on the physical side. I was proud to see you rock up to our event. Fucking dildo thing. Fucking fuck, and the purple walls like a sex shop.
Grab it with both hands, mate.
Oh, fuck that. Don't make me say something else. I'll be wearing a fucking hair clip now. Yeah, no, mate, honestly, I was proud to see you there, and especially front row.
I think
you know, for a burly fucking man like yourself, not hiding in the back. You were there. You didn't give a fuck who sees you. You were there to obviously, you know, accomplish something and do something there. So, yeah, man, I gained a lot of respect for you straight away off the bat.
Thanks, bro.
And just in the small chats that we've had, it's really easy. And I'm looking forward to this convo today.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. So, Jesse, a little bit of background for our viewers and our listeners. What's your story?
Sure.
What got you into bodybuilding? Obviously, you don't play basketball.
No, don't play basketball.
But yeah, so a little bit of background just to get us up to speed to how you got here.
Okay. First of all, thank you guys for very much having me on today. And how I came to be here was, funnily enough, I started as a horse trainer. And I don't even know if we've spoken about that yet, but
No.
but I trained horses from the age of 14 up until the age of about 25, I think. And as I was moving through training horses, that lifestyle, you kind of like, I don't know, you're eating like shit. You're out on the road all the time and driving to different horse shows, and you know, never taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I think I got to a certain point where I started just feeling not good about my body. I was what I would class as like a skinny fat type person. You know, like I had like this like bit of a gut going on. I didn't have the beard back then either.
Nate
it was
Diaz.
terrible.
Nate Diaz.
Yeah, literally. Yeah. And it was just like, I don't know, like I didn't feel confident within myself whatsoever. And it wasn't just like, it wasn't just not feeling confident with how I looked, but it was also like just how I showed up in the world every day. I think when you don't take care of your physical self, this is what I've sort of learned on my journey, is that every time you show up to an event, every time you show up, even training horses, I wasn't proud of who I was. You know what I mean? And so I don't know, I started getting in and out of the gyms probably about the age of 17, 18. But I did what a lot of people did, which is, you know, you go in there for a few months, you know, eat chicken, broccoli and rice for a while and, you know, lose some weight and shit like that. And then but then I'd fall off the bandwagon again and, you know, fall back into that lifestyle. And I had this like epiphany one day when I was like going back for like my third or fourth round of getting back on the bandwagon. I was like, shit, like I thought that I had a stronger mind than this, you know? And, so it wasn't for me just the physical aspect. I was like, shit, I'm not as strong as I thought mentally either. Like there's a lot to look at here. And so I made a promise to myself. I said, no, I'm staying in. I don't care what happens. I'm just going to stay in the gym. And so I found my first coach, who at the time was a great friend of mine. And he sort of taught me everything that he knew. And he had been in the gym for about 10 years or so. I trained with him for about 6 or 7 months and really sort of got, I guess, like a lot of momentum. And then as I started to get more momentum within the gym, I started to, you know, grow as well with the mindset stuff. You know, I guess so not just looking at the physicality of it, not just looking at going in and just throwing weights around, you know, from a standpoint of like ego. even though that is, that there is a lot of that in there as well. It's always great and feeds the ego when you hit a new PB in the gym or something like that. But it's not just about that. It was about more. It was about understanding, how my mind worked and how my mind and I guess that mental fortitude was going to help me elevate myself in the gym and go further. And so I got to about 25 and I'd had enough of training horses. That lifestyle wasn't for me anymore. It was just not in alignment with everything that I was doing within the gym. Once again, like I said, when you're out on the road, you're training horses, that sort of stuff. You're eating like shit. You're not getting sessions in like you'd like, all that. So it just wasn't aligning with what I was doing. And it's so interesting how life does that to you. I think it's like, you've got to leave something behind, as we've spoken about in our sessions. You've got to leave something behind to move forward to the next step. And so I decided that that I was gonna stop training horses, and I spoke with my wife and I said, look, I don't know what I'd like to do. I can't work for anybody. I'm terrible at working for people because I've worked for myself for my entire life. I said, so I think I'd like to sort of pursue the PT industry or get involved with that coaching space. I love teaching people, so whether it's teaching people with their horses or teaching people within the gym, I thought that sort of really aligned with what I like to do with I feel like coaching people is my purpose. So for me, it just sort of all came into alignment and went and done my course. And throughout the space of throughout the space of doing my course, I had 4 jobs. Okay. And it only took me 8 months to do my course. So that's why I say I can't work for people all that well.
If you need something done by Jesse, ask him last year.
Yeah. Literally. You got to be ahead of the curve. So so like I said, I'd done my Cert 3 and 4. But even in that, I sort of realised that the Cert 3 and 4 was not even skimming the surface. Exactly, there's so much. I mean, you'd know all about that as well. Yeah. So it's like there's no depth to what they go into with that. So I was like, okay, so there's so much more to learn with this, and so then I obviously started finding mentors, different courses I go through, and yeah, that's kind of led me to where I am now, and that's what led me to you guys, and working with Aisha with our 6-week mentorship. Like I said, for me, it's not just about the physicality. It's that's one aspect of it, but then the other aspect is that mental fortitude and understanding of yourself. Understanding of who you are. So.
I'm going to take you back because when you said that you got into training and you found that after a while you sort of you fall off and then you get back on and it's like a pattern, and then something made you go, no, I'm going to stick to this, right? Do you reckon it's a combination of not wanting to feel shit as well as that I don't want to be so weak-minded? Like it's both.
Oh, absolutely. Right? Absolutely.
Because so many people, it's so hard to change a habit. It's so hard to change something you've done for so long. And that's why people have this journey of up and down, because they're motivated for 12 weeks. But after 12 weeks, it's not fucking motivation, right? So, and people think that automatically, you're going to always feel good. You're always going to feel great when you're doing something that's good for you, but you don't, right? Because after the excitement stage is literally it becomes mundane. It's a routine. It becomes a commitment. It's discipline. And so I always have experienced that there's 2 parts to it. Yes, I want to challenge myself and say, well, if this is my limit mentally, I do have to up it a bit, right? So I want to go to the next stage. But I also have that other side where it's I don't want to be that anymore, right? It's 2 parts to yourselves that sort of gets you to the next stage. So when you look back at that, do you think you had something like that? Do you think your past was a place as a kid? Did you have insecurities? Did you feel hey, I don't want to, that being there is more painful than what I have to go through and just be disciplined moving forward?
Oh, absolutely. I think that until you experience something that's truly painful, where you look at yourself and like I said, for me, it wasn't just looking at myself in the mirror and saying I don't like what I see physically, but it was mentally I'm weak. If I can't, and how I knew that was when I went into the gym and I got started, and then I'd fall off the bandwagon, and I'm like, so why is that? And then I look back at patterns throughout my life, even as a kid, and like you say, there's a lot of you get like a lot of pain from back there, or like going to school for me, like I was always sort of one of the kids that got bullied, all that sort of shit.
Yeah.
And so I feel like perhaps it's like a sense of, the best way to describe it is a sense of worthlessness. You get this sense of worthlessness that that you can't do something, or and so I think for me, like I said, that was it was like maybe after the third or fourth time that I've been in and out of the gym, I thought, no, fuck this. Like, if I want to be, like, who do I want to be? Does the futuristic version of me, does he fall off the bandwagon every other week, or is he just fucking relentless? Does the futuristic version of me is does he care about motivation, or does he care more about commitment? And I think I think that people get that very, very fucking skewed when they go into the gym. It's like, this is why I think the two biggest New Year's resolutions are still, I'm going to quit smoking. And I'm going to start at the gym on Monday. It's always Monday. Gym's always fucking packed on Monday.
By Friday,
dude, by Wednesday, man, because Wednesday, because like Thursday's almost the weekend.
You're teeing up.
Mondays and Tuesdays. I remember at the gym, I check the database. Monday, Tuesday's pumping.
Yep.
Wednesday might peak.
Yep.
I went to the gym this morning, rocked up, there was 3 cars. Right? And I was like, all right, man.
Wait till winter hits.
But you know what, though?
Literally.
Ego kicks in.
Yeah.
And I rocked up and I'm like, yeah, I'm fucking tough. I like this. I said, yeah, fuck it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Man.
I had 5 hours. Jocko Willing kicked in. I said, good.
Yep. Yeah, good.
Good.
Exactly.
I'm fucking here. Let's go. And I was wrecked.
Yeah.
But I was like, their little ego, that's where the ego helps.
Of course it does.
I used to believe kill the ego completely, but no. That's where the ego helps, because until that point and noticing that and the ego getting a hit, I was very slow and sleepy this morning. I'm fucking driving like a retard. And then I saw that and I was like, oh, fuck. All right, let's go smash a session out. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And one more thing I was going to say about that, what happens to people is that when you start gym and you start feeling good, that's the little, hits of dopamine, and you feel great, and that's the little spurts. But over time, even if you ate chocolate every day, even if you did dream job every day, that becomes routine again. So you don't have those big, moments of like, this is new, and you don't. So it's so important to understand that people that last and they actually become successful in something. It's never about how good you feel constantly and how new something is and how, every time you're inspired. It's not. It's like you've had to really sit there and say, okay, I am looking at myself in the long term. Who do I want to be? And we speak about it in our mentorship that it's literally you taking a different identity. And people are so stark with saying, this is who I am. And I struggle with that. Like, I'm like, why are you holding on to something that you're limited with?
Absolutely.
Why don't you want to explore all aspects of yourself? So this whole thing, but this is who I am. This is how I do this. Is like, yeah, that's fine. But that's one little element of you. You can do so many things. When you look back at ourselves, when we were 5, we were different expressions of a 5-year-old. Now we're a different, and a different
it's really
version.
not who they are, because we know that through science now you can change the cells in your body.
100%.
So you can actually change what your belief is completely of yourself.
That's why if you describe who you were, I can't even picture it, because I'm like, wow, I can't even imagine Jesse the Viking being that person. You know what I mean? I can't. It's almost like it's a different identity.
When you said worthlessness, exactly how I felt, bro. Exactly. And I was like, fuck. When he said that, I was like, I went back into time and saw myself at school in moments, in times of, and it's funny because you'd be sitting there probably as a kid, right? And everyone's thinking, mate, you're tall, you're this, you're that, you're healthy, you're fit. And out of nowhere, you get this sense of worthlessness come out, or this sense that you're not enough. And that was my part of going to the gym as well. And it still exists. I don't know about for you, but for me, it still exists. If I don't go to the gym, if I don't go through these movements, these exercises, these rituals that keep me feeling at the peak, or, a high, a dopamine hit, or feel strong, I start feeling a little bit like that again. You know what I mean? So it's something I can relate to very much with you as well. But, even going further back, most importantly is when you went to the gym and you realize quickly the physical and mental work together, that takes a lot of awareness though. Because being in the gym industry as well, so many clients, so many people, up and down, yo-yo, everything, right? But no one at a young age, especially when they're first starting, will sit there with the awareness and go, I'm mentally weak. I need to fix this. A lot of them will go, oh, fuck, it's hard. Go back to playing games or going back to eating shit. Do you know what I mean? Going back to just drinking and partying. Or a lot of them will just have the motivation for a music festival.
Well,
you know what I mean?
yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up
The
because
awareness.
this is a really good conversation. Obviously, things have changed, especially even in my own lifetime. I've seen a massive, massive change in just how men, women show up now compared to like how it was before. Now, you look, the three of us, we are pretty successful in our lives in the sense of how we show up, how we carry ourselves. We have families, we have kids, we, lead them quite well. We are healthy, we exercise, we have great choices. We do good, in an overall way, we're pretty good. And I feel like each one of us have had to go through something that was challenging, that needed us to be resilient, show grit, right? Me too, as a girl who came from an overseas country, bullied, and, being different and everything, I really had to, at that age, find who I am, or at least establish a sense of self, just so I can stand.
Yeah.
And I feel like most of the people that I talk to that have had some sort of challenge, that have gone through something, they're the ones that this side of it now are the ones that are so much more stable, so much more like knowing who they are. And it's not to say that we don't do stuff, we fail, we try this, we try that. But honestly, on an overall way, I feel like we're a lot more grounded and able to take stress better even and manage life better, because those skills were practiced when we're back there. Now, I want to throw that at you. When you train young guys and they come from a very privileged background, because we have everything now, man. If we all carry phones, we all have access to everything. We're all privileged. All of us are privileged, right? I'm so glad I had to actually go and attain shit. I had to go to a library and actually look up. There was a system of how you look up books, and all that stuff. If you wanted to get food, you actually can't order it to your house. You got to go out, right? So I'm glad I had that. As a parent, I really do try and put roadblocks in for my kids, because I'm like, I'm not going to give you so much access. How are you gonna attain this?
Of course.
Right? So when you see young guys, because I think that's the other thing too, right? They have access to everything, every supplement, every this, every coach, every information, blah, 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 blah. And they can really go hard and jack themselves up, and there's no process and all that stuff. What do you see the difference between their mindset, what they can get access to, and how that affects them later, to the ones that actually first work, dig, they couldn't afford the stuff. You've got to wait, you've got to do this other stuff, and then I don't mind you utilizing help and doing whatever, but when you sort of have everything and anything, I think you can have a surface level that looks like you're tough and strong, but internally you challenge them and they break.
Perfect example, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Callum von Mogger. They both look very similar. One is from an era, one is from a new generation in a way. And you can see.
Of course. And it's so interesting you say about Arnold Schwarzenegger. I was literally going to start with that and say that I think he used the term in the gym. It was the gym was the great equalizer, because it didn't matter if you came from a family of wealth. It didn't matter if you come from the Austrian Alps. At the end of the day, work ethic was what he lent on. I think another thing that he said was, people are like, how do you get so much done in your days? He's like, learn to sleep faster. Like he would do like acting classes. He would go to the gym. He would he was relentless because of his dream. And so it's so interesting. And then obviously Callum von Mogger. I got to meet Callum von Mogger at FitX like a week or so ago. And it's been so interesting watching from afar, like his journey, obviously.
Exactly.
And it was like he got so big so fucking quick. And it was like all the fucking shit was thrown at him, all the money was thrown at him, all the
Yeah.
fucking girls were thrown at him, all
Yeah.
of this. It was just like everything all at once. And because it wasn't like, you know, he was just a kid from Anglesey, like just training out in the gym. So it wasn't like he, you know, it wasn't like I don't even think that he necessarily had goals and ambitions to be what he had become. You know, I think that he had goals and ambitions just to train because he fucking loved it.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, when they brought in the, oh, you need to be this, or you need to be the fucking next Arnold 2.0 or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
Well, it was then a lot of pressure for him that he wasn't ready for, I think. And like I said, this is obviously just looking from the outside in. And then obviously that's when it all just came, you know, crumbling down. And it was actually really, really cool to see him on the other weekend at FitX, because it was like, you know, he wasn't like the loud sort of person that he had been on social media a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
He was very humble, very, very
Well, he
humble.
almost lost his life.
Yeah, man. Like he literally says in one of his podcasts that he took a gun out of his mouth, you know, like, and, you know, he had jumped out of a window and like, you know, done all sorts of shit. So, you know, like, I think for him, he had to bring himself down to ground and had to replant himself in why he did this. Not because of the fame and the this or that and the cars and the motorbikes and fucking doing skids down the road and shit like that. Like that's why did you do this? Why do you fucking train, man? Yeah. You know? Yeah. And it's it's really, really curious. And something I think that I see in that I'll see in throughout the gym, whether I'm coaching or not, is like people will like pigeonhole themselves as well. You know, they pigeonhole themselves and it's they pigeonhole themselves into, you know, oh, this is who I am. You know, it's so interesting you said before, but it's like, you know, if somebody has anxiety, they wear it around like a fucking badge.
I started doing that.
Yeah.
Before this whole thing started with us with the B.Human.
Yeah, yeah. And you know, hey, we all do. I used to walk around and say shit like that all the time, you know, like, and it's like, oh, it's so hard for me, or it's like you said, you know, we don't really know what fucking hard is a lot of the time. Like when you look at our problems on a day-to-day basis, it's not to discredit them, right? No. And it's not to say that your problem isn't bad for you. But when you look at it, it's like, you know what? We are in a great country.
100%.
We got food on the table, fucking roof over our head. We got access to a fucking gym to train, you know? It's not that we, you know, don't label yourself and say, I have anxiety or I have depression or I have... Okay, so if you can label yourself and sink into that feeling, well, who do you want to be?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Where does that go?
And I think, you know, and that's why I feel a little bit shit for like generation that's sort of going through the changes and sort of where they're at now. Unless you have sort of like a parent, a coach, a mentor that sort of understands it, right? It's really hard for them to navigate through it because, like we said, I have to deliberately put roadblocks in so that they have to have a little bit of effort needed, attainment, a journey. There has to be some sort of skill they have to develop, some sort of knowledge they have to sort of look into. You know, it's more like that is what cultivates who you are, right? Those are the little skills that we don't talk about. We're looking at like they're going to the gym and they're getting a body, but when you didn't have a car and you had to actually get up early, hitch a ride, go, you know, and go on a bike, and you know, and I said this to my kids because I got one of my daughters a membership, and she went like 4 days because her sister was taking her, and I think the next week I didn't see her go, and I was like, I called her out big time, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, you know." Aaliyah can't take me. And I said, mate, that's what happens when you get stuff. I said, you know, for me at my age, I mean, when I was your age, I said, going to the gym was a privilege. I could go to the gym. I can afford to go to the gym. Like I used to value it because it's like, oh my God, I can do this. I said, you guys have everything. So then you don't have the value. What I told you, right? They get so good at having a great life. They're so used to having a great life that those little skills are just, now they're forgotten. And, you know, Greg Braden, this guy, he says, if we don't use it, we lose it. And they're showing that certain things actually die off within one generation. Yeah. One generation. Your body goes, hey, you don't need it.
It's crazy.
One generation. So I'm so like conscious of that. And so I'm like, you walk. Because I walked. I caught a train and a bus to school. My kids never did that.
Yeah.
Right? So I was like, man, I learned value. I learned process. I learned if I was alone who to ask. I learned so much, not with the end goal, but getting there. Right? All those little micro skills. I learned that then, and I realized how much they were valuable, because when I even see adults having issues that are really childlike, I noticed that it's all that stuff that actually got me to really, really become sort of like a leader, because I knew those micro skills. I developed the knowledge, and I don't want to deny the kids. And that's the saddest thing about generation. And I feel like I've always got along with guys, but I feel like, guys are missing out a lot, because so much of like things that a man should be taught by a man, not off YouTube,
100%.
not off fucking YouTube. Like a masculine role model doesn't have to always be a dad, but a strong masculine role model should teach you how to shave. A man in real life should teach you how to hunt, if that's your thing.
Of course.
It should teach you how to do it car tire. Everything's taught off YouTube, man. Like
crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So I look at like that, even that's breaking down. Like real people teaching real people. Everything's off YouTube now.
Literally.
So yeah. So when you train, say, young guys, what have you noticed? Like, what is the difference from when you started and from their perspective now? Like, why are they doing it? Is it similar? What do they have access to?
I think the probably one of the biggest things, obviously, what's the quick fix?
Exactly.
Dude, like, I want to look like Callum Von Moger. I want to look like him, like in a year's time. You reckon we can do that?
Yeah.
Fuck no.
There's no delayed gratification.
Fuck no.
Nothing.
Fuck no, man. Stop working on dopamine. Start working on serotonin. Start looking at long term.
Yeah.
Start looking at some fucking long term shit, and focus on, like, you can't even do a check-in sheet for me properly, but yet you're saying you want to look like that. You can't stay a weekend off the bags, but you want to look like that, dude. It's not going to happen.
No.
It's because it's not it's not just you showing up to the gym. You got one aspect of this whole thing, right? One fucking aspect. Like I said, if you look at the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, or all those guys from the golden era, they went in there and they trained because they fucking loved it.
Exactly.
And they went in there and trained because they knew that no one could keep up with Arnold with his split. Like, he would do like a double split and run over 6 days or something like that. People would work out with him for like 3 or 4 weeks and they'd be like, no, I can't do this anymore. He was just relentless. Just kept and I think that the reason he was relentless is because he had a clear vision in his mind of what he wanted to attain. They don't really. I think that for a lot of young men, they'll kind of because they want a good Tinder picture.
Yeah.
So they'll go in there and they'll train because they want the good Tinder picture to swipe, once again, instant gratification, swipe right and get the girl or whatever. I really think that's the difference. I think that's what they're missing perhaps now is. Why is it that you really want this? Cool, I want to look better. Okay, so you want to look better. Don't you like the way you look now? Oh, no, I guess no. Be fucking honest with yourself. Don't you like the way you look now? If you look at yourself naked in the mirror, how do you see yourself? Oh, well, no, I probably don't really like the way. Just say it. I'm fat. I'm fat. I don't like the way I look. I don't like the way I feel. I don't feel confident in myself. I have that sense, like we've talked about, of worthlessness. Cool. Is that how you want to keep living? Right. Well, okay, let's once again then going back to, you got to leave something behind. What are the habits that you're doing on a daily basis that are serving you, or what are the ones that are not? What does your weekends look like? What does your friendship circle look like? Who are you fucking surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with people that are going to hold you to a higher standard? You're going to surround yourself with people that are going to call you out on your shit and say, no, man, get to the fucking gym and go and train.
Yeah.
Or are you surrounding yourself with people that are going to say, no, let's just come out for the weekend. Oh, it's all right, man. Like, it'll just be a quiet one. Don't worry, And then next minute,
a bag hits him in the face.
Literally.
What about the fact that people have access? Like, if I look back at when my brother was first doing gym, and that's how I got into it, you couldn't really access a lot of, like, say, the what are they called? Like the steroids and enhancement
absolutely.
stuff.
Absolutely.
Whereas
yeah.
now it's like
Far more accessible.
so much more accessible. And
my
I
God,
think
yeah.
I think, even that, it's sort of like abused.
Of course it is.
I'm not against it,
Course,
right?
of
But
course.
I feel like there's a process, and then you sort of have to get to a certain space with your training, know how to use it for longevity, test, look at your body, look at all aspects of yourself, and sort of do it in a very mature and safe way. Do you think because it's so like easily accessible, again, another easy access
course it
tool, do you think it's just like kids just doing it for the wrong reason? A lot of people were doing it just to compete. Now, like everybody's doing it just because they want to take that photo.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And you're 110% right. I remember doing and this is probably only about 4 or 5 months ago. I had a consultation with this young guy. He was like, I think he's 17, just about to go 18. And the reason that he'd done a consultation with me, because he had a consultation with one of my friends who is a natural powerlifter, great coach. His name's Jack Wilkie. He's a great coach and competitor. And he had brought it to Jack's attention that he was using performance-enhancing drugs. And once again, I use performance enhancers. At the end of the day, it's like you say, if you're using safely, you're using for the right reasons. And when I say the right reasons, I shouldn't even say it like that. It's
true,
you've got the right mentality.
The essence of what you're doing
Yes.
Yes, your
has got
intention.
purpose behind
Yes,
it.
yes,
You know what I mean?
absolutely. It's
Yeah.
not just jabbing yourself with shit
Exactly,
for the sake of
yeah.
it. And so Jack said, I'm not going to, I'm actually not going to sign you on with me until you have a talk with Jesse. And he said, and if you sign on with him for nutrition and he can look at your drug protocols and he can also look at your look at blood work, etc. I'm just not going to take you on.
Yep.
He said, because I don't know anything about that. And Jack's brilliant. We're very much like myself. We stay in our own lane. Like at the end of the day, if I've got a problem with powerlifting, he's the first guy I call.
Yeah.
So this kid, he called and started talking to me about what he's doing. And I was like, bro, like, dude, you're taking more than me. I'm like,
And all he's getting is pimples.
yeah, literally. Literally.
fuck.
The only thing that grew was his fucking ego. And I was like, dude, like, and this is not being a dick to him, but, but the guy doesn't even look like he takes shit. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And I was like, man, like, you have got holes everywhere in your training, in your nutrition. You have to. Because if you didn't, with what you're telling me you're taking right now, you should be like fucking Arnold. You should,
Yeah.
So my advice, how long you've been on? He's like, I've been on for like 14 weeks. I said, good, get off the shit. I said, get off the shit now. I said, let yourself recover. Have you thought about kids later on in life? You think
That's
about
another
fertility?
thing. Exactly.
Have you thought about fertility? Have you thought about all of these sort of things? Have you gone and got your blood work done before you started? Oh, no, I haven't. Well, I'm like, dude, whoever you're getting your advice from, fucking sack them because they're no good. And then straight away, what did he say to me? Oh, I've been looking on YouTube.
Yeah. There you go.
The guys that dress up in a doctor's coat and they
Yeah.
act like they're a doctor.
I'm like,
Terrible.
dude, no. I'm like, get yourself a good coach, and I say a good coach with that shit because I've been with a very bad coach, and fucked myself up like to the point where I end up in hospital. And so, at that point, I was like, okay, so I need to find a good coach who is who knows his shit, and this is Dave Cow. This is when one of our mutual friends, Dave.
Oh, Dave used to work for us at
Yeah.
XFC.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. So Dave
Yeah.
Cow. So I've been for the last like 2.5 years now. I've been doing a mentorship with Dave. Is the most invaluable friend. Number one, he's an amazing friend, and
He's got knowledge, bro.
He's got his knowledge is next to it's limitless
Yeah.
because he just knows so much about every aspect of whether it's nutrition, training, performance enhancers, all that sort of stuff. And his whole thing is like, dude, your health is first and foremost.
Yeah.
Your client's health is first and foremost. And if it's not healthy for them to do, you need to pull them on it hard.
Yeah.
And so, like I said to this young kid, I'm like, dude, I honestly, I will start coaching you through nutrition. That's first. Once you spend 12 to 18 months through nutrition,
Yeah.
Exactly.
and
Build
then
the
you spend 12 to
foundations.
18 months through your training, get that dialed. I'm like, then, if that's
And
the
that
route-
also shows you they're committed.
oh, absolutely.
Right, because imagine just pumping them now. That's not a commitment.
No.
That's not discipline. That's like, no, they actually want to take it to another. Because that's
Yeah.
also showing you that, no,
Absolutely.
these guys are serious. Yeah.
Absolutely. And they're not just in it for that instant gratification, that quick dopamine hit of, they go into the gym and they start taking big gear, they feel a bit of a pump and they're like,
Yeah.
oh, this is sick, bro. And they all get around the machines talking with their mates and whatever. but it's like it's ridiculous. But like, you know, so I think because like you say, that's so easily accessible now, and like once upon a time, like it was probably a bit difficult to get and not that cheap either.
That's
right,
what I'm
yeah.
saying.
I mean, like shit, like vials of test and shit now, like
But
85,
the shit
90
you were
bucks a
getting
vial.
was quality too.
Oh, of course,
Because it was so hard to get, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
mate, like it's crazy.
Now God knows what they're putting in their bodies.
It's actually scary.
Yeah.
It's actually terrifying.
Yeah.
And once again, you know, these kids, they'll just go out and just grab it off their mate's friend's cousin's cat.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, you know,
Cat. Yeah, it's got whiskers in it.
literally. And they'll be like, oh, it's good shit, bro. Got all the pros are using
Yeah,
it.
because
Like,
they printed a
dude,
label on there that says something labs on it.
the pros aren't using it, I'm
Exactly.
telling you.
Yeah. No, 100%.
So it's like I said, that is a very big thing in the industry at the moment.
So
Massive.
I'm going to ask both you guys a question. Final question. You both have boys, like I have a boy too, but you both have boys, and there's men who are pretty strong, in my opinion, like solid guys.
Oh, thanks, mate.
Thanks,
Thank
mate.
you.
I do. I feel like you guys are really, really grounded and very, very real, and I love that. How do you want to sort of represent yourself so that your son looks up to you? And, you know, do you consider that as you walk around daily?
100%.
Like, do you consider, like, who am I showing my son to become or respect himself
Absolutely.
through your actions? So,
100%.
Jesse, give me a little bit, and then Zuzu can, and then we can end it on that.
Yeah, go
Sure.
for it, Jess.
Absolutely. That you know, the moment my son was born, he's now 5. The moment he was born, that was when I really started like pursuing, in a real heavy way, all the mindset work. Because I was like, who do I want to show up, and what's the message that I'm trying to send to him, and who's the man I want him to become, and would I be proud to say, or would another family be proud to say that, you know, my son was their daughter's partner, or, you know, okay, so who is that going to be? And so, you know, absolutely, and I think that training physically, especially for a man, is important. I think that it's fucking, if you're a man and you're not doing some form of training, get the fuck off your ass and go do some form of training, because, and I'm not saying it has to be bodybuilding. You know, it can be boxing, it can be basketball. I don't care.
Get physical, man. Get physical. Yeah,
though.
100%,
Like fucking, that's men are
Yeah.
supposed to be physical, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that's something that I really look at. And so even if I don't want to go to the gym, you know, I've got the commitment there to do it. And then in the back of my mind, he's there as well, because it's like, no. What am I showing him? Am I showing, it gets a little bit tough. Fuck it, you can sleep in. No, like get up and go to the gym. Get up and do the shit you got to do, and constantly be trying to grow as a man to be better, you know, to be the best version of you. So it's like I said, I think that when you have kids, and when you have especially for a dad, when you have your son and a daughter as well. I've got a daughter now. She's 11 months old, and even that, you know, I'm like, okay, so what am I showing her? You know, who's the man that she's going to look up to? Is it going to be, you know, one of these little fucking soy boys on the internet watching the YouTube videos, or is it going to be something? No, he's a physical man. He's a protector. He's a provider. He's all of these things. And this is a lot of the work that we've done over the last 6 weeks, obviously, is really diving into that, because it's, like I said, it's imperative that that's passed on, because we're, as a society, I think that I can't remember the statistic exactly now, but it's like testosterone levels now
Dropped
massively. It's like
they
fucking,
reckon men won't
They
be fertile.
predict.
Yeah.
They predict
By a
that.
certain amount of
Yeah,
time,
they
yeah?
predict there will be no fertility in men.
yeah,
Like,
because
it's
they
dropped.
sit there fucking watching TV all day, not getting up off their ass and training. Training is proven to be the greatest performance enhancer, natural performance enhancer, is to go and lift weights.
But
And
also,
and don't skip leg day.
Never
Don't
skip.
Do
skip
not
leg.
leg
skip
day.
leg day.
Never skip.
I've learnt my lesson with that. Mate, I do leg day and I'm a beast. I'm ready to go, mate.
100%.
that's so true. But they're showing though, because men are just sitting around and getting that level of hit with addictions, and so your body's not really like doing anything to create it.
No.
So it's like, yeah, it's sort of like
Yeah.
it's a really sad situation, but yeah, it's amazing to see that. I think also there's a little bit swing back where people like you are like, no, like we've got to like
Sure.
sort of now be the representation of men, and I always say start at the physical level. Even with women, man, I'm always like, you
course.
start at the physicality, because that is the fastest way to feel good about yourself.
Absolutely.
Right? It's like, and then you go through the other layers. But man, if you change physically, you fucking feel incredible. Like,
Fucking oath you do.
You do. You do.
You walk taller.
100%.
100%. I'll quickly touch base on that too. So I got 2 kids. I got my son Roman, who's 5, and Savannah, my daughter, who's 3. And mate, 100%. It's very important for a man, a father, to look physically strong, to emotionally be balanced, right? Emotionally be balanced. I don't want to look strong, come home and beat up on my kids because they're being kids. I used to do things like that in my, you know what I mean? Because we also have patterns that have been passed down.
Of course.
And it's our responsibility to change and improve. Every father wants his son to be a better version of himself.
Well, they should.
Well, they should want, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I know I do, and I know my father does. So all these things that you spoke about, Jesse, they're conscious. They're always in the back of my head, right? When I'm hitting a boxing bag or I don't have another round left in me, my son is there. Especially if he's physically standing there.
Oh, yeah.
Right? The other thing as well is like my daughter, right? She, my wife's name's Jessie as well. She goes to me, she goes, Savannah, she'll call me Savannah wants you. And she always wants me when she's distressed, right? When she's overly exhausted and I'm not home because I'm at work, she just wants to talk to Baba. She calls me Baba, right? And then that shows to me that when shit's chaotic for her and not feeling well, she wants strength, she wants comfort, she wants something she knows is going to protect her and soothe her. So that makes me proud, and I go, okay, cool, I must be doing something right.
Yeah.
The other thing is that we understand the programming of a child from the age of birth to 7 years old. A lot of those habits and patterns start locking in. So that's something that I keep myself accountable, because a man, especially a man, being accountable and responsible.
Oh, that's the ultimate.
Don't lie your way out of shit.
Yeah.
I speak to my son, he's only 5, and I say to him, don't lie, son. But my dad used to say the same thing to me, but it's only when you get to a certain point in your age and you're aware enough, you then understand things. I said, Roman, if you lie to me, I cannot help you because I don't understand any situation correctly. Tell me the truth, bub. Tell me the truth, dad. I won't get upset at you and I'll back you. I'll be able to work something out for you. Do you know what I mean? And I started to instill this now, and every time, and yeah, honestly, I've got a clock in my head like, okay, he's nearly 6, he's going to be nearly 7. I want to make the most of this. I want to make sure I'm showing up in my best version. I can't be a sloppy dad.
Yeah.
Telling him to stand up to bullies, but I'm a sloppy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Literally.
But I can't even stand up to life. I'm going to time to stand up to bullies. You know what I mean?
I've got a story about that. It was a podcast, and it reminded me while you were speaking about it. There was a kid who was pretty like naughty, kind of, let's just say naughty kid, and he would come over to this family's house, and he would find that, you know, his kids were really disciplined and they were good and they would listen, but this kid wouldn't. So one day Dad took like that kid away on a trip with his own kids too, right? And he tried, and that kid was really rude to his parents, but his parents were really sweet and gentle, right? And so he did something, he played up, and the dad, they were friends. So he went up to the kid and he said, no, you can do this in your house with your parents, but you are not to do this. I think he ran off. You are not to do this while you're under my care, right? He said as that kid grew older, he became, from that moment, became so close to that dad because he felt safe.
Absolutely.
He felt like, I don't have to manage my parents because they're not protecting me. I have to run this because they're so like soft and everything's okay and there's no discipline and structure and there's no boundaries. So what the parents thought they were doing is like the opposite of what he was actually receiving, which is kids do need to feel like they're protected.
100%.
Right? Even as a mom, single mom, my son knows I got him, right? And he has so much respect because he knows his mum has got this boundary, protects him, whatever. And I think that's the greatest thing you can show and be towards your kids is that, no, you know, and people think it's the surface level communication. It's not. It's really their nervous system feeling safe that my dad is strong enough to protect me.
Absolutely.
You know, my dad does this. He lifts heavy. He's strong. He doesn't freak out and lose he's strong. He's got me. It's all about protection at the start.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and what kid doesn't want to feel that?
100%.
Massively. It's
100%.
I think Jocko Willing talks a lot about that, doesn't he?
Yeah.
As you know, making sure that you keep centered and not lose your shit mentally. You know, he's like when you're like, and he talks about the battlefield. Obviously, he's like, but as a leader, you can't lose your shit. No. You lose your shit, you lose your company. They're
Exactly.
just
Well,
like,
they lost trust in you straight off the bat. They're like, okay,
fuck, he's freaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, where's the confidence?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
100%.
Literally.
Yeah.
So that's
Agreed.
awesome.
All right, brother.
Great
Gonna
podcast.
wrap it up.
Yeah.
Happy days.
Thanks, Jess, for that. That was mint. It was a good one.
Love it.
Really enjoyed that a lot.
Thanks for having guys. Bloody awesome.
Yeah. And I hope a lot of young men, you know, get a lot out of this.
Yeah.
Guys that want to train with our guys, girls, want to pursue something with you, where do they find you?
Find me on Instagram is probably the best. Mathrick _strength_training.
Yep.
You can find me on there. Even if you go onto the Iron Hub in Carrum Downs website, you'll see there's a bunch of videos. Oh, I'm sorry, the Instagram.
Yep.
There's a bunch of videos of me on there.
Perfect,
on
yeah.
coaching. So yeah.
Are you coaching out of there too?
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
we'll put those links up
we'll
and
put 'em
stuff.
up.
And I just want to say, like, the best thing about training with Jesse is exactly that whole thing about the mental concept of it too.
Well,
So it's not
his
just
intentions are there. His essence
Yeah,
is there. It's
yeah.
correct, you know.
So yeah.
100%.
happy days, guys.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks, man.
Thank you very
Appreciate
much.
it.
Appreciate you guys.
Peace up.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Please do subscribe and follow us on all our platforms.
And also, guys, please head to our website at www.thebhumanmovement.com.au, especially if you would like to get in contact with us, find out about our workshops, buy event tickets, also merch. A lot of you ask about our merch. You can grab our merch off there as well.
Absolutely. Stay updated.
And until next time, everyone, once again, thanks for your support, and don't forget to be human.
Boom.